Hey BookTube! Welcome to my A Court of Mist and Fury reading vlog. I just finished ACOTAR last night. There is a full reading vlog already up on my channel for this book, and now we are immediately diving straight in to book 2. This is like a substantially thicker book, which I am really excited about. I enjoyed book 1. I thought it was fun, giggled and kicked my feet. So I am very excited to dive in to book 2. I will let you know this is going to be a full spoiler reading vlog just because I really want to be able to dive in all the way into talking about my thoughts and feelings about the plot, the characters, everything that happens in this book. So if you have not already read these books or you are concerned about spoilers, I have plenty of other stuff on my channel for you to watch. But yeah, just wanted to give that little disclaimer ahead of time at the beginning that this will be full spoiler. I will say right off the bat, before even starting this, I do have some predictions for the rest of the series and how things are going to go. I think that Nesta is going to end up being High Fae or Part Fae. I think that Feyre and Rhysand are going to end up being fated mates. I do know the spoiler that they end up together. Where we left off in ACOTAR, she is still with Tamlin. So I am really interested to see how that develops and how that goes. I'm very excited to see how Feyre's relationship with Rhysand develops, and I'm excited to see how she adapts and adjusts to being Fae after being human her whole life. So yeah, I am really, really looking forward to this, and stay tuned for my next update. Hey BookTube, I am here with my first A Court of Mist and Fury update. So, I did make this update a little bit late. I am already 200 pages into the book. I read the first 200 pages yesterday. I'm a little under the weather, so I didn't feel like filming. Feeling a tiny bit better today, so we are filming this update. I will say right off the bat, first positive thing, I am really, really enjoying this. I liked book 1. I thought it was good, but if you've seen my reading vlog for book 1, you know I did have some criticisms. It felt a lot like exposition to me. This is starting to feel like a fully fleshed out story in its own right. I am so much more invested, and the stakes already do feel higher, which personally I am really enjoying. And both the personal and the overall stakes for the entire world feel a lot higher in this book, which I am liking a lot. So, thoughts about the plot. Right off the bat, we obviously see that Feyre is really, really struggling with PTSD. She is really, really struggling with her mental health and therefore her physical health throughout the first part of this book. Tamlin is not really understanding. I understand that he's got his own shit to deal with, but he is not really grasping the scope of how much Feyre is suffering and how much she is struggling. I will say the irony of the fact that Feyre is struggling because of the way she went to go and save Tamlin, because of everything she went through in trying to save him, is why she's so traumatized and is like suffering and struggling so much now. And the fact that that is what does end up tearing them apart is like crazy. I felt like that was just such a fantastic narrative choice that, she went under the mountain as one woman and came out as somebody and something completely different, and it's just not the same anymore, which I think was a really, really good writing choice and a good character development choice on Sarah J. Maas's part in here. I will say also at the beginning of this book, Tamlin is definitely very much giving Dane from Fourth Wing, like how he just wants to protect. He just wants to protect her, and he's not willing to see her strengths, her personality, and what she wants. That protection is coming first before everything. even if it's getting to the point of being stifling and being suffocating. That was a big, big thing I noticed in this book. I will say the quote where Rhysand is like, saving you when you asked. I think I have it marked down. Let me see. There are a couple quotes from the beginning that I really wanted to read and talk about. You're welcome, you know. For what? Rhys paused less than a foot away, sliding his hands into his pockets. The night didn't seem to ripple from him here, and he appeared, despite his perfection, almost normal. For saving you when you asked. And then, like, the bond, I'm losing it. I am losing it. I predicted in my ACOTAR video that they are going to end up being fated mates. I know that the bond has to do with, like, the tattoo and the deal that they made, but at the same time, I feel like there's definitely going to be a fated mates aspect to this as well that I'm looking forward to us getting to. Also, like, Rhys already knowing her so much better than Tamlin does is, like, crazy. And then again, so another quote that connects to that, which is on the next page, page 47. Rhys gave me a knowing smile. Does Tamlin? Does he ever ask you why you hurl your guts up every night, or why you can't go into certain rooms or see certain colors? Like, he knows, and it's so, so good. I'm, like, obsessed. I feel like we're getting to the meat and potatoes. We're getting to the good parts. We're getting into the thick of it, and I am really, really enjoying that about this book. Connecting it back to book one, when you see Feyre and Tamlin's relationship developing, I had really wondered how things were going to fall apart. And when you start this book, when you start book two, it does start to become clear how things are going to take shape and end up falling apart for them. When you get to around chapter 8, and when you get to the part where Tamlin, like, explodes on her, and where she is, like, where they're doing the tiff, and Feyre is like, these fairies are starving, why are you making them pay you? Because she's had this experience of being starving and has had that experience of poverty and suffering, like, that Tamlin does not understand. I feel like there is obviously, like, a fundamental divide between them. And then as the time goes on, when Tamlin eventually explodes on her and, like, has his, burst of power that destroys everything, and Feyre actually puts up her shields and discovers that she does, like, have her own powers now. That was really interesting, but also very, very sad. Like, and immediately right then, I was like, oh yeah, like, I absolutely understand how their relationship is going to fall apart. And then he locks her in the house, and she just absolutely panics, cannot handle it. It was a really good way of showing their disconnect and how fractured their relationship is and how little he understands her. Also, I will say I loved the descriptions of the night court. I do have a couple of things tabbed in here for, like, painting ideas. It has been making me really sad that Feyre cannot paint at the moment and is really struggling with that, but simultaneously, given everything that she went through, it does kind of make sense. But still, the way she describes things is, like, still very, like, vivid and, like, visceral, like, beautiful. So there is that. One of the other quotes that I really wanted to talk about happens at the beginning of chapter 11. Says, this is Feyre speaking. I said, don't you have other things to deal with? Of course I do, he said, shrugging. I have so many things to deal with that I'm sometimes tempted to unleash my power across the world and wipe the board clean, just to buy me some damned peace. He grinned, bowing at the waist. Even that casual mention of his power failed to chill me, awe me, but I'll always make time for you. They're not even together yet. Like, I'm losing it. It's so, so good. I giggling and kicking my feet for Rhysand. I am obsessed. Yes, 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 yes. A couple of the other things that I wanted to mention before I go back to my reading is Sarah J. Maas captures rage and trauma very, very well, especially in like Pharaoh's reaction to seeing Valaris, how she thinks it's beautiful, she thinks it's lovely, but she is so pissed off that all of these people got to be safe and untouched during a time when so many other Fae were suffering and struggling, and she had to also suffer and struggle through her trials and everything like that. I will say, I kind of already said this, but the stakes feel so much higher in this book. Also, the backstories of Azriel and Cassian, I don't know, and then with Amryn and more. I am really loving like the found family aspects. I'm loving getting to know all these different characters, and I am really enjoying that aspect of this book as well. Also, the Bone Carver chapters and the chapters at the prison, absolutely insane. I want to know what Amryn was so badly, but I have a feeling that we're not going to know that until later books when shit really hits the fan. So, there's a lot to look forward to. I am stoked to keep reading, and I will see you in my next update. Alright, guys, I am in my PJs. I have read 255 more pages of A Court in Mist and Fury today, so I have a lot of reading updates, a lot of thoughts. Let's jump into it. So, a lot has happened since my last reading update, which actually was just this morning. I have been feral reading today, just absolutely devouring this book. But one of the first things I wanted to talk about was Ianthe and how there is a little bit of foreshadowing, I feel like, when we, learn of her and hear about her at the beginning of the book, and the fact that she's not, like, really good. The whole scene with the Weaver was, like, super shocking and crazy to me, and I thought that was really well done, really interesting. I like how Sarah J. Maas has really woven some, like, nasty stuff into this book. Like, I just think she's done it really, really well, and in a way that fits with the story, and also does, like, fit the narrative of some of the Fae being super, super terrifying. I am also loving the way Feyre and Rhysand's relationship is developing, as well as the found family that we're seeing between Rhysand and his inner circle. So, a quote that really stuck out to me is from page 239, and it's Feyre talking to Morrigan, and Feyre says, "I want them to hear your story and know that there is a special strength. As I spoke, I realized I needed to hear it, know it too. A special strength in enduring such dark trials and hardships, and still remaining warm and kind, still willing to trust and reach out." I just thought that was so good. That like hit so hard for me. I really, really enjoyed that. So another thing I wanted to talk about is Feyre going home and revealing to her sisters that she is now Fae. Obviously, that also includes like the crazy conversation that she has with the queens and trying to figure all that out. Personally, I have a lot of questions about Feyre's family. I feel like Nesta is like, at the moment, she seems very bitchy, and I'm curious to see like more of her backstory and like see if we get any of her inner world or character development from her, because I know that Nesta is a very divisive character. I know that some people really love her and some people really hate her. So I'm super interested to see how how she develops throughout the series and to see how I end up feeling about her, because at the moment I do not really like her, and you know Cassian kind of roasted the crap out of her, and I personally thought that was like a slay. I thought great job for him. I will say one of the other things I'm really curious about going forward is going to be the other romantic pairings. As we have seen at the moment, there is some tension and, a little maybe something something between Azriel and Morgan. At the same time, based on what we saw during that scene where Feyre is at home, I personally think that we may end up with a Nesta and Cassian pairing, and then like an Elaine and Azriel pairing, So I don't know if any of that is like true or is going to happen, but that could be really interesting. I am loving the way that Feyre and Rhysand's relationship is developing. I think that, you know, like they are truly becoming friends and they're getting closer and closer, and then obviously it is going to turn into more, which I personally am really looking forward to. I am loving that as the book and the content and the stakes kind of become higher and the book becomes more serious. I'm loving that we are getting a little bit of comedic relief sprinkled in there, that there's some jokes, there's just some fun, like, little things to laugh at. I love the banter between Rhysand and Feyre. I think that it is very funny and, like, you can see their relationship developing through that, and I really, really enjoyed that. I also Amren's amulet not having any magic and her just giving that to Feyre to help Feyre feel more confident when they did go visit the bone carver. I thought that was like super interesting and super cool. I really like Amren and I am super excited to see what she is. I feel like we're going to get to that at some point in the series. However, I feel like it's going to be in some kind of crazy battle or some crazy way that we find out what Amren actually is or was. I will say the first time that this book made me cry on their night out in Valaris when they're all together, I just got really emotional and I was crying. I will also say I cried during the Starfell scene. I thought that was really, really beautiful, especially with it coming after Feyre and Rhysand having this big fight and this, dramatic negative moment. Then we get them by themselves experiencing this beautiful celestial event, this important Fae holiday. I thought that was a really, really nice point in the book, and I am definitely going to try to paint that scene. I really also loved the part of the book where they're at the summer court. I thought the summer court seemed so beautiful and so interesting. I would love to live there. I really liked Tarkin. I liked how both Feyre and Rhysand were getting super jealous when they were kind of fulfilling this part of their mission. I thought that was very, very great. Like, whew. I also think it was interesting that both Feyre and Rhysand, when talking after the fact, they had actually both been considering just asking Tarkin for the book, and obviously they didn't do that, but I do think it's interesting that they have so many of these similarities and, we're in that jealousy. I also was waiting for when the water wraith, when that was going to come back around and end up helping Feyre. So I thought that was really cool that that kind of came full circle when regards to, them trying to get the book. I thought that was really well done, and I really enjoyed that. My phone's about to die, so that's probably going to be the end of this update. I have so many more notes, so we will go through the rest of them tomorrow, and I think by tomorrow I will have read at least a couple more chapters, so we will have even more to discuss, and I'll see you in my next update. Guys, I'm losing my mind. They're mates. I knew it. Also, capturing the Suriel again? Hilarious. The fact that she has captured the Suriel again, but also they're mates. I'm giggling and kicking my feet. I know she's mad that he didn't tell her. I'm not mad. I'm having the best time. I have so much more to update on, but this was big enough that I was like, I actually need to just film in real time right now, even though this quality isn't going to be the best, because amazing. Next to my Christmas tree for lighting. I'm so friggin' happy. I'm so happy for them. Even though she's pissed now. I'm stoked. I am back with more A Court of Mist and Fury updates. So, I finished part 2 last night. They are fated mates. I knew it. I knew it. There's a lot of stuff that happened in part 2 that I haven't talked about yet. So, we're going to go back and discuss that. But I just have to say, I was right. I knew that they were going to be fated mates. I knew that that was why at the end of book 1, he had, Rhysand had, dipped out and, they were talking on the balcony and he just, turned and, flew away. She is pissed that he didn't tell her, I kind of feel in two minds about that one. I feel like he thought he was doing the right thing by not like pressuring her to be in a relationship with him, especially because he knew that she was like in love with Tamlin and is like kind of struggling with the aftermath of that. At the same time, I understand her being upset because I understand that, like, it is pretty important. Like, it's something that she should know and should be aware of. But yeah, I was like giggling, kicking my feet. So freaking good. I am stoked that that is actually the case. So, going back to some of the stuff that happened before we find this out, I have a theory. I don't know if it's going to be relevant, if it's going to be correct, if it's going to matter, but I have a theory that Feyre's dad is possibly going to be involved in this somehow. Whether he's working with other Fae or against the Fae, I don't know. But the fact that they're just like, yeah, he's overseas, like on trading business, I feel like to me that's like a really perfect. It's going to be the perfect setup for something. I personally think. I don't know. I could be wrong. Feyre's dad could be completely irrelevant, but I have a feeling that that might be the case. Another thing I really wanted to talk about is Feyre's character development. I feel like she is just coming into her own. I feel like she is so much stronger, like her overcoming her struggles with her PTSD and like mental health and trauma, how, she is still having nightmares, but she's able to like sleep through the night and she's able to, you know, kind of get through that better than she was at the beginning of this book. I think also like watching her training and like coming into her physical power has been really cool as well because I feel like it has correlated really nicely with her like internal character development. I personally really, really like Feyre as a character. I feel like I really connect with her and like can relate to her in a lot of ways. And I feel like seeing her character development and seeing her become stronger mentally and physically and also start to like believe in herself and understand that she is actually really powerful has been like super special and super fun. Also the fact that now where we're at in the book, she like has seen Rhysand and she's kind of gotten her inspiration back and she like wants to paint again. That is something that I have really loved seeing happen throughout this book as well. So a couple of other things that I've wanted to talk about that have happened in here. The entire scene and like the performance that's going on at the Court of Nightmares, that was so interesting. I love how like it's so obvious that at that point in the book we don't know their fated fates, but I love how it is so obvious that they are like actually into each other, and like that scene was just so good even though there is kind of like darker undertones there. I thought it was great. I loved how Rhysand was kind of defending Feyre's honor. Like I thought that that was incredible. Like look at him go. Good for him. There was another quote that I really wanted to talk about. It happens, it's chapter 43. It happens on page 421. And it's Rhysand speaking, and he says, "You think I don't know how stories get written, how this story will be written?" Rhys put his hands on his chest, his face more open, more anguished than I'd seen it. "I am the Dark Lord who stole away the Bride of Spring. I am a demon and a nightmare, and I will meet a bad end. He is the Golden Prince, the hero who will get to keep you as his reward for not dying of stupidity and arrogance." Like, okay, Hades and Persephone, like, go off, I guess. I just really loved that. I thought that was like really beautiful, and I felt like making that connection was, very nice and a nice narrative choice. Next thing I have to talk about, obviously, is Starfall in Valaris. That is the second scene in this book, in this series, that has made me cry. I just thought it was so beautiful. I love that, it's after they've had this fight and it's them coming back together to enjoy this really important, like beautiful celestial event, this important Fae holiday. And you know, in those moments where like the stars are hitting them and they're like out on the balcony, that was just so beautiful. I actually really want to try to paint that. I don't know. It'll probably take me a really, really long time because portraits take me fucking forever, but I thought that was really, really beautiful. And that was just like a specific part of that scene that like really, really got me. On another note, learning about Tamlin and Rhysand's backstories and, you know, the actual like tragedy of what happened to their families because of each other's families, I think was really interesting. I think it does more to show too. I mean, we already know this, but I feel like when Feyre comes into this world, she does kind of see Tamlin as like perfect. And relating back to the quote that I just spoke about too, you know, he does kind of seem like this like golden prince who does no wrong. And then especially when you learn about what actually happened with his family and Rhysand's family and how they were all unalived, how they all were killed and passed away. I feel like it does just shine a light on some of Tamlin's flaws. And that being said, too, how Feyre feels so guilty, but like a lot of the stuff that happened with her and Tamlin at the end, I would argue is like borderline abuse, and she like feels so bad for Tamlin, and I get it, and it's because she loved him. I just don't want Feyre to feel guilty because I feel like she has nothing to feel guilty for. Which, I mean, I get that that's part of like her heart and that's part of who she is as a character, but yeah, I don't really think that she should feel bad for everything that's happened because it wasn't like nothing has really been her fault. Last few things I'll say for this update. I think it's so funny that she keeps calling Rhysand her friend. Like, do not friend zone him, my queen. Like, come on. That has been really getting me. And I do get it that like they're part of this friend group and they're all together. So I do understand why it's happening, but it is just very funny to me, especially now with where we're at in the book, knowing that they are fated mates on Girly Pop. So we get to the part where we're discovering that she can in fact have her wings. I thought that was really, really cool. Like the shape shifting aspect of her magic, I think is really cool and done in a unique way. The scene where they get attacked and Rhysand gets like really, really hurt and she has to track him down and she is figuring out her powers because of like her strong feelings for him and because she doesn't want to let him go. I thought that was really, really beautiful. And the way that she fights and also kind of, you know, she's harbored so much guilt for what she had to do under the mountain and for what she had to do in regards to, you know, having to kill those two fairies in order for everybody to be freed. And the difference between that versus her killing these fae because they have hurt someone who is so important to her, and the difference in her mindset, I really, really enjoyed. I thought that that was super cool to see and like a big character development point for her as well. The spicy scene where they're in the hotel, like in the inn, I was like giggling, kicking my feet the whole time. That was so good. And then now they're fated mates. Now we know. So I'm gonna be really interested to see what happens next. I'm gonna be really interested to see like what does Feyre go through when she's at the cabin by herself. Like what is going to happen next, I do not know, but I am super excited. I will say part 3 definitely seems like the shortest part of the book. So I am hoping to kind of fly through the rest of this today and give you another update when I'm done. Last thing that I'll mention real quick, I have been really wondering if all of the books are going to be in Feyre's POV. I haven't wanted to look it up because I'm afraid that I'm going to see a spoiler and I don't want to know any more spoilers, especially seeing as how knowing that she didn't end up with Tamlin, seeing as how that kind of affected my perception of book 1. I really don't want to know any more spoilers, but I am really curious to see if it's her POV for all of the books, or if we get additional POVs, or if the POV switches, especially considering how many other couples and potential stories I feel like there are to be told in this world. I am super curious to see how that like unfolds. Well, guys, I have finished the book. I don't even know what to like do or say. I've been taking notes on my phone, which is also how I film. I film on my phone. And I've been going back and looking through the notes. But compared to the like 15 fucking plot twists that happened at the end, none of my notes even seem relevant. I had written about, when they're in the cabin and Rhysand explains how he fell in love with her and how he knew that they were mates, her like accepting the mating bond, the scene where she's like glowing and it's like really beautiful. Like, I had written all about that, and then, the army of the ACOTAR and whatever those other creatures are comes, and she's like absolutely slaying. Like, Feyre is in her warrior bag. She is just killing and using her powers, and she's crushing it. And then they go to Highburn, and then like 15 different things happen, and I was not prepared for any of them. Like, I think I kind of thought that this book was going to end on a happier note, and like the battle that happens in Valaris, I was thinking that that was going to be like the main like bad event that happened in this book, and that we were going to start getting to like the really dark, gritty, upsetting parts of the story in book 3. And I was completely fucking wrong. I think it's so interesting because obviously the Cauldron and the book have this connection to Feyre, and I do think that she is going to be one of the only creatures, one of the only people who can like wield it properly and whose power is comparable or on the same level of that of the Cauldron. I knew that things were going to go wrong with the queens. I marked it down in here. But again, that was kind of something that I thought we were going to get to in book like maybe like book 3 or 4. And we knew that Tamlin was not the best. Like, the events that happen in here, we really see why people dislike Tamlin. And then you get to the end and he just turns out to be a fucking total like complete villain. And I feel like that is like such a crazy ass plot twist because like, in book 1 we all love Tamlin. Like, you're reading it and you're like, good for Feyre. Like, she's happy. And also I will say Lucien and Elaine being mates is like, that was actually kind of funny to me. Like, I felt like they were doing all this fighting and like crazy shit is happening, and then Lucien just looks at Elaine and is like, "You're my mate," and I was like cracking up because I was like, that felt so like, I know that that is supposed to be like super serious in these books, but that felt so unserious compared to all of the other shit that was happening in here. I feel really bad for Feyre that she's obviously going to have to pretend to be happy with Tamlin. I do understand what she did. I think it was very smart. I think that she did the best thing that she knew how to do in order to save as many people as possible. I do feel bad that obviously she is going to be suffering again. I'm really glad that Rhysand ended up with the book because obviously the King of Highburn really wanted that. Jurian still being alive is like, I don't even. Why are you here? Like, die again. I don't, like, he sucks. I mean, that's really all I have to say there is he fucking sucks. I, like, I don't know. I will say I cried a lot. The found family and the stuff about them being mates, like when she's calling Valaris her home, all of that really fucked me up, and that was like making me cry. My question about Nesta and Elaine and if they were going to become Fae was answered, so that's cool. Now we know that. I do wonder what's going to happen with regards to like Lucian and Elaine's mating bond, especially because my guess before had been Elaine and Asriel and Cassian and Nesta. Cassian? Cassian? I don't know. Cashew? But I don't know. Now I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I felt confident in that prediction, and I don't know. I think we will obviously see that Feyre is going to end up being like the most powerful out of anybody, which I think will be really interesting. I think it'll be a cool arc for her character. I've really enjoyed seeing her come into her own and come into her power, which has been really cool. I almost feel like this is one of those books where I kind of want to go back and read the ending a second time because I feel like it hit us with like 5 to 7 plot twists at once. It was just kind of like bam, 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 bam. And I feel like maybe there were like seeds, like foreshadowing seeds planted in there that I just didn't catch because it was like so many things happening at once. Tamlin and Lucian's betrayal is really like crazy. I mean, seeing the way that the two of them have like devolved and have become such awful people is like really a really interesting part of this book and this series. I now see why everybody absolutely fucking hates Tamlin. And I think it is even more shocking to have him go from somebody who in book one you might like and might be like, oh, like, look at him, like, he's a nice guy. And then he just becomes so blinded and, like, so fucking evil. I am also like, does Jurian just want revenge? Like, again, like, why is he here? Like I know why he's here. I know that he, like, wants Miriam and all this shit. Like, I know why he's here. But why is he here? You know what I mean? Like, also, the fact that they secretly got married, that brought me a lot of joy. I really hope that we get like a full wedding scene for them at some point for Rhysand and Feyre because that was a plot twist that I really, really enjoyed. I thought that was a nice little touch, and I think that it's very. It was a really good narrative choice, I think. What else? There were a couple quotes that I had wanted to talk about that I feel like now that that ending has occurred does not quite seem as important. Again, there's the where she says, "My father, I remembered, was still trading in the continent, for the mother knew what goods." Another variable in this. Again, I feel like that is going to become super important. I feel like it could also be like Sarah J. Maas's way of like throwing us off, but I feel like probably not. I don't feel like it would be mentioned multiple times throughout the book if that wasn't going to be relevant. One of the things that really got me, page 577, is Rhys's eyes darkened, and I knew he read what I felt. You might be my mate, he said, but you remain your own person. You decide your fate, your choices, not me. You chose yesterday, you choose every day, forever. I feel like that is obviously like a contrast to how things were with Tamlin, like Tamlin literally like locking her in the house and all of that. Some of the quotes about them like falling in love. Oh, this one. Page 533. My friend through many dangers, my lover who had healed my broken and weary soul, my mate who had waited for me against all hope, despite all odds. I really love that. And then also, though, like, the fact that she keeps calling Rhysand her friend is, like, so funny to me. Like, before I was like, Queen, do not friend zone him. And, like, now I get it. Like, I call my husband my best friend all the time. But, like, I do think it's funny that they're, like, they're, like, fated mates and now they're like married and she's like, but like a couple chapters earlier she was still like my friend. Like, oh, this one too, also page 533. We were a song that had been sung from the very first ember of light in the world. That one really got me. Her painting the entire cabin, like, that was so freaking beautiful, and I thought that was, like, truly, truly incredible. Oh, him seeing, like, the glimpses of her through her dreams, and him sending her the vision of, like, the night sky that eventually she paints. Like, the fact that both of them knew and had that feeling about each other before they had even met, that, like, really, really fucked me up. I thought that was really beautiful, and that was done really well. Oh, and then, yeah, I kind of already said this, but Feyre calling the Night Court and calling Valaris her home, and calling, you know, Rhys and Cassian and Azriel and Amren and more her family, like, that was really getting me. That made me cry, like, several times. This quote on page 526: Home had been at the end of the bond, I'd told the bone carver. Not Tamlin, not the Spring Court, but Rhysand. And how, like, the bond is literally the reason why she didn't die when her neck was snapped under the mountain. Like, oh, another really good one. Page 528, Feyre says, and I wondered if love was too weak a word for what I felt, what he'd done for me, for what I felt for him. Like, I'm losing it. The scene where he's kneeling in front of her and he's got the mountain with his little tattoos, I'm losing my mind. I'm literally losing it. And then again, we get to the fucking end, and I'm like, that these things felt. I mean, they are so important. I mean, that is, like, a big theme in the story. The fact that, like, even when they're with the King of Hybern and he is, like, trying to break the bond, quote unquote, he is just breaking that bargain that they had rather than the mate bond, because they've done a good enough job of hiding it that he doesn't know it's there. And Amren saying that those bonds are so powerful that they cannot be broken, like, that obviously is, like, a huge theme and really important thing in the story. And I think obviously the fact that that can't be destroyed, like, the bond still being there, is what has, along with his faith in Feyre and knowing that she's capable, but I feel like that's also what has allowed Rhys to be like, she knows what she's doing, and, like, she will communicate with us, and in a way, like, this is going to all work out to benefit them in the end. Like, everything that happened on Hybern and going forward from there. So I had marked down, like, all of the little foreshadowing tidbits about the Mortal Queens, like, being evil, but I really kind of did just think that, them sending that fleet of the ACOTAR and, like, the other, like, evil fae creatures like him to Valaris, I really thought that that was going to be, like, the end of their evilness for this book, and then it just, like, kept going. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't ready for that. Oh, another one, page 564. This was my home. These were my people. If I died defending them, defending that small place in the world where art thrived, then so be it. And then Feyre starts, like, using her powers, which, her powers, slay. Oh, this, like, does not. I feel like this is a quote that I don't know if it seems super profound, but really got to me when I was reading it. And it's, Feyre says to Rhysand, we deserve each other and we deserve to be happy. Because I feel like both of them are, like, so selfless, and both of them care so much about the world and the people around them. But it is important for them to recognize that, like, they do deserve that happiness, and also to remember that, like, that is what they are all fighting for. I really feel like I could talk about this for fucking ever. I mean, I could sit here and go on and on and on about every single tiny thought that I have, but overall, final thoughts. I really, really enjoyed this book. Book one, to me, still was, like, a lot of exposition after finishing book 1, I was like, I see why people like the series, but I don't know if this is going to be like a god tier series for me. Just because, like, in comparing it to a lot of the other romantasy and fantasy that I've read, I was like, I just don't know if it has kind of the same level of like depth and everything that I'm looking for. But now after reading book 2, I fully understand, because book 2 was so good. Book 2 really went deeper. We went deeper with the relationships. The found family in this book is literally one of my favorite found families I think I've ever read in any book. It was so beautiful. I think that aspect of the book was really well done. I think the character development so far that we've seen has been really well done as well. And I like that the stakes are getting higher and this conflict is growing, and more people, both mortal and immortal alike, are being pulled into this conflict. And the more I've read, now I'm like, I really do see why this is a god tier series for so many people, and I can definitely see it becoming that for me as well. I really, really enjoyed this. Feyre and Rhysand are definitely up at like the top of some of my favorite main characters that I have ever encountered and read about. I really, really do love them both, and I love them together. I am super excited to get into book 3, so stay tuned for that reading vlog because it will be coming. I think I don't want to 100% adhere to a posting schedule, but my new goal is going to be to try to put out a YouTube video every Monday. So about a week after this vlog is uploaded, hopefully my A Court of Wings and Ruin reading vlog should be uploaded as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about this book and the series down in the comments. No spoilers though, please, because I have only read the first 2 books. So we're getting into book 3. No spoilers, but leave your thoughts down below. Let me know if you agree with any of my thoughts, feelings, predictions. Last thing I wanted to say about this book, real quick, I devoured this one. I read this in 2 days. To be fair, I was at home sick, so I wasn't working at the time. I have just been at home trying to rest, recover. But I devoured this whole book in less than 48 hours, which I feel like does just go to show that I was hooked. I was invested. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that I will see you in my next one. Bye!